Welcome back to the Gun Collective Podcast. My name is Jon Patton. Tonight, boys and girls, tonight we are joined by three illustrious guests from all over the gun world, and we have a mountain of stuff to talk about. But first, let me say thank you to our wonderful sponsors tonight, Neomag and the TGC Patriots over at patreon.com/the Gun Collective. Now, let me introduce you to the other gentleman joining me tonight. Our first guest is one of the two men to ever win a world's worst ghost costume contest, second only to the lead singer of Chumbawamba. He is also one of the two men behind some of the best EDC belts you can buy. Say hello to Kurt from Blue Alpha Gear. Kurt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, everybody.
I'm good. It's good to have you on. Yeah, it's good to have you here, brother. We talk all the time, but probably not enough ever.
Probably not enough. No.
Funny bit of TGC trivia. Kurt is actually the guy that helped me film the Daniel Defense Factory Tour.
Yep.
That was what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yeah. I'm mediocre at a lot of things. Camera work is one of them.
Well, I'm pumped to have you here, brother, and I think the audience is really going to get a kick out of hearing the man behind the belts talk. Our next guest can only be described as a walking hate parade and reportedly owns the world's largest collection of Nokia brick phones. Say hello to Matt DeVito, owner of Downrange Firearms Training. Matt, how are you, brother?
I'm good, John. How are you, man?
I'm outstanding. Outstanding. Another bit of trivia here about Matt and I. Matt is one of the guys that I credit as kind of getting me more and more into hunting. We've been all over the country, and Matt is a very good friend of mine. It's good to have you here, Matt.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here. I thought you were going to say one of the guys that got you into ghost stories, but that works too.
Man, that's a missed opportunity right there. I'm also pumped to just be in the presence of all your AKs behind you.
Yeah, they. If I start speaking Russian halfway through the podcast, just bring me back to reality, man.
Or Chinese.
Or Chinese. Yeah.
Wow. And you guys know our other co-host tonight. He is the czar of giggles, the stunt double for Jim Halpert on The Office. Excuse me, on The Office. The artist formerly known as Gun Drama Johnny is here. Johnny, how are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I could not be happier. I am full of giggles this evening. And it's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
The czar of giggles.
The czar of giggles.
So happy to have you back, brother. You know, last week we did this same kind of format, which is actually a throwback to very old Live with Chaos episodes on my old channel. It's a different format using Google Hangouts, and people seem to really enjoy it. So we're doing it here again. Adam, unfortunately, again, could not be with us. So we brought along some other folks to churn through all of the shenanigans. Again, guys, if you have questions, throw them into the chat. Izzy is in there. Shout out to Izzy. He's in there curating, looking at everything. And if you want to use the super chat feature, whatever it's called this week, you can do that. It's not obligated, but if you do, we will absolutely read it out here on the show. I think it's time to get cracking. What do you guys think? We have a bunch of stuff to talk about, right?
Absolutely.
So the first thing that I think we need to dive into is something I posted on my Instagram. I guess it was last night. I don't know. Really recently. It's a high-polished, all-aluminum SIG P320. Matt, can you tell me a little bit about what this thing is? Do you know anything about it? It's supposed to be like a super limited, right?
Yeah, I mean, your Instagram was the first place that I saw it, and obviously it's, you know, going along with the SIG 320 line with the M17, is that what they're calling the military model?
Yeah, the M17.
Yeah, and so the high polish thing isn't really for me. I'm not as bougie as some folks, but
nice.
Sorry, buddy. You know, reading more into it, and they said, oh, you know, it's going to be limited edition. It's going to be for the folks that, you know, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And that actually makes it, in my eyes, kind of a lot cooler. You know, because those guys have the, you know, the parade rifles and stuff like that, and everything's high polished from the boots and the hats on down. So to see it matched like that is actually, it's pretty cool. I'm not really a SIG 320 fan, but I dig the basis of what they're doing there. I think that's pretty cool.
I think regardless of whether you like the 320 or not, this is a really unique gun. So to give some context here, This is when Matt says limited edition, there's only 4 of these made.
Yeah, like super limited.
Yes, super duper limited. They've blued them completely top to bottom. There are wood inserts on the grips. Some reason it has an extended magazine. One of the weirdest choices about this gun. But top to bottom, it's actually on. If you look at the top of the slide, it's got these. I guess unknown soldiers cut into it. It's got a few words cut into the bottom. Johnny, do you have any thoughts on something like this? Would you ever have something like this in your own collection?
Probably not something that limited edition, but I do echo that I saw it on your Instagram first, and my thought was immediately, ooh, I like shiny things. So anything that goes boom and makes loud noises, I'm kind of in on. I'm probably not going to spend a monthly mortgage on that, but I think it's cool. It's cool to see. I mean, I don't begrudge anybody. I think one of the problems in the gun industry today, at least among buyers and collectors and those sort of things, is we find the 5 or 6 little things that we really like, and then we poop on anything else, and we say, oh, anyone that would own that's just garbage. I don't care, man. Go buy what you want, make it go boom, have fun. Probably not for me, but boy, do I like seeing it. Yes, absolutely.
Kurt, any thoughts?
I think my OCD would not allow me to put fingerprints on it because it's too shiny. But it is one of the classiest extendos I've ever seen. So, I mean, most guns that classy don't have extendo grips or extendo magazines on them. So
you got it. You have to have the extendo clip. I love it. I know that I'll likely never have one because it's one of 4. But wow, funny story though. When I posted this on Instagram, I said something like, "Dear Santa, can SIG please make these for the masses? That would be awesome." And I mentioned the fact that it has an aluminum frame. Well, somebody spoke up and said, "Hey, I think we might be able to do an aluminum frame for a 320." And that is something that I think would be really, really interesting. You know, people complain about SIG not having any options when it comes to the 320 besides the compact and full size. I would be really curious to see an aluminum or even steel frame, and I think it would change that gun entirely. Johnny, you're big into steel frame. Would you get into that?
Absolutely. I like a gun to feel like a gun. Y'all know this. I always separate what I carry. I like things that are a little bit smaller and lighter, like a G19, G43. But at the range, I don't shoot anything. I don't shoot striker fire all that more often, but I just want guns to feel like guns. I want guns to feel like in the 90s. I don't want some piece of plastic in my hand. Yeah, you're going to talk about doing all steel and anything. Sign me up because I'm an American.
Wow.
So that is one of the benefits of that design, where they have the trigger group that's removable, is that it allows the aftermarket to kind of do things like that. So that would be interesting if someone did that. Made aluminum or steel frames.
I think that's what it's going to take to really accelerate the 320. That and SIG needs to overcome their quality controls. Yeah, their quality control issues. But I think that would really, really accelerate the platform. It would be really interesting, but time will tell on that. Well, let's keep it moving. A company called Arex, who is most well known for the Arex Rex 01. Have you guys seen this thing, the Rex 01? Are you aware of it?
Yeah.
I'll take that as a resounding yes. So they've come out with a new one. The Rex 01, I believe, is an aluminum frame gun. And it's kind of based off of a SIG. And now they've got the Delta, the Rex Delta, which is a polymer frame gun. And it kind of, in my opinion, looks a little bit like a Ruger. Kind of like a Ruger and a Glock kind of fell down the same oven and came out looking very strange on the other end. The Rex Delta is not in the US yet, but I'm curious to get some thoughts on what it looks like, if we need another pistol like this, what this means for the market, things of that nature. Matt, why don't you sound off?
You know what? Looking at it too, it kind of looks like one of those Canic pistols as well, like a kind of weird amalgamation of all those guns. Sure. If I'm not mistaken, the original pistol is a hammer fired gun, right? Double single action.
The 01.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah. Because I think the same thing. I always think it looks like a SIG. I'm like, oh, it's a new 229. I don't know if I'm a fan of the style of it. I like the fact they went striker fired. that would draw me to it, because I really don't do double single or just hammer fired guns in general. But
are you
I
too
mean,
good for hammer fired guns? Is that
pretty
what it
much,
really is?
yeah, pretty much, because it's 2018 and not 1982. You know, so I think like the last hammer fired gun I bought was a like 3rd generation Smith, because it was made the like year that I was born, and that's when those guns stopped being cool. But anyways, no, I know Mac plays with them a lot, and he posts about them a lot, and I've been intrigued, but not intrigued enough to go buy a double action, single action gun. But
Sure.
I mean, looking at the striker fire version, that's something I can kind of get behind, I guess.
Sure,
So.
sure. I think, you know, some of the things we can kind of ascertain from this is it has kind of a, it looks like a Ruger, what is it, the Security 9. It kind of looks like, think of a Security 9 that's been modified quite a bit. It has interchangeable back straps, which is commonplace, has the trigger safety thing, the piece in the middle. It actually has what I like to call the gas pedal on the side. In front of the takedown, it has some texturing where you can place your thumb and either press the gas or control the gun a different way, whatever. And it only has a single Picatinny slot on it, which I think is a poor decision. Whatever, doesn't matter. Johnny, what do you think, man? Is Arex going to be making a bigger splash if this makes it to the U.S.?
If it makes it to the U.S., I don't know. I think it comes down to price point. I think, unfortunately, and I don't know if you would agree with this, I think the price point dictates how firearms do. I think a little bit too much. And so it just seems like, at least in my area now, we talked last week about super users. I mean, at the events that we're going to this weekend, everybody's going to be having super guns. But like here in Appalachia, I see shields. And I mean, just nonstop, I'm seeing shields and XDs and just these low budget stuff. And so I think depending on where they come in is really going to affect, at least in my area, where they come in. I mean, the guys that I'm around, they don't sit and talk about all the nuances of guns. All they want to talk about is price, by golly.
Right. Kurt, is that something you see in your day-to-day as, you know, you sell things in the gun industry?
Right.
Is price point really that big of a determining factor?
You know, I kind of think it is, because we have like with our belts, for example, we have kind of a top tier belt, our hybrid EDC belt with the Cobra buckle. It's kind of the fancy one, but we also have some $30 and $35 EDC belts, and we sell a lot of them. Now, I don't know whether really how much of it is just the design that's driving those sales, or whether it's the price point, what the combination of that is. But I mean, I would say that, you know, our goal is like to be a value brand. Like, we provide as much as possible for the price, and that's proven to work very well for us. With handguns, I kind of do think price does play a factor, because I mean, you probably see it anytime you post something. That's one of the first things people ask is, how much is it going to be? And then once you say how much it is, no matter what it is, someone's mad about it, whether it's, you know, it's so cheap that thing's going to be a piece of junk, or that's too much, why would anyone pay for that? I could get this gun for this.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, it's an interesting handgun. If Arex, I mean, their first pistol, like that thing was pretty well received, and I've heard nothing but good stuff about it. I've handled it a little bit, but I don't have a lot of experience firing it. But if this gun works as good as their other gun does, it probably will do really well.
I think this was one of the first guns to ever go through the MAC gauntlet.
Right. Yeah.
And it did very, very well, I believe. Right. Somebody in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that says a lot for where their heads are at as far as functionality goes.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring up is the fact that I love these European companies figuring out how to invade the U.S. market. Mm-hmm. We've seen it done with Canik. And regardless of what you think about Turkey and their you know, government choices and potential links to terrorism and things of that nature, because that's something that comes up every time I talk about Canik. Regardless of how you think about that, getting another option that is potentially affordable is a really, really positive thing. You know, we have a market full. We are tripping over $700, $600 9mm pistols. We're tripping over them. So to get something potentially less than that. You know, that's why Canik had success, is because they came in at $450. So to see this potentially jumping in there and hopefully being super affordable would be, I think, the thing that really sets it apart. But this is all an unknown because it's not in the US yet. So we got to move on. I think the next one is something that Johnny and I have discussed a little bit already. I poo-pooed all over this thing. It's the SIG M400 Tread. I don't understand what it is. Matt, do you know anything about this thing?
You know, it's funny. Somebody tagged me in the Instagram post or video when it came out, and I'm like, oh yay, another SIG product that's going to be overpriced and underwhelming. I mean, like,
okay.
I'm looking at, and don't, like, I've got SIGs. I like some of the SIG stuff, but it's like I'm looking at the main page for the Tread, and it's like, this is so-and-so's rifle, this is so-and-so's rifle. If you ride a motorcycle, this is the rifle you should have. Like, if you have a restless soul with a wild heart, like, it's, I don't know, the marketing is like super cheesy on it. I don't dig the rail at all. It's like, why shave weight from the front of the rifle by putting M-lock up there, but then keeping it just steel or carbon or aluminum, wherever the hell it is, all the way back? I don't dig the big Tread symbol on it. There's nothing. It's like, it screams like of Springfield Saintness. Like, oh, let's bring this really cool new rifle to market that is going to be with a bunch of other really cool rifles, and it's going to be, you know, nothing new. Like, dude, do something innovative. Like,
so Matt, you're saying that you like it?
Yeah, it's awesome. I got 3 of them on order, actually. I've because I'm a restless soul, that's the one I got.
I think what's hilarious, and you know, it's a challenge. You know, all 4 of us on some level are either in marketing or, you know, somehow we all are surrounded by this kind of stuff. So it's a challenge to bring something to market, but this is absolutely hysterical. Introducing the new SIG M400 Tread, all the features, all the freedom. Like, I don't even know how you write down all the freedom. Like our gun is all the freedom. They
none
also
of the compromises.
Yeah, none of the compromises.
They didn't, 0 compromises in this gun. It's literally the best.
And the main tagline is the new face of freedom. Now, to be fair, I mean, it's a SIG, and it's probably going to rock to actually take it out and fire it, maybe. I mean, what do I know? It's a black gun. It's going to go boom. But yeah, the marketing on it's a little bit comical. The snake thing doesn't bother me as much as it bothers a lot of people. I know it's kind of a meme now, and people are like, you know, it's like moving one step in between. Maybe it's past mole and labe, and it's almost down to the threeper level, the snake is, but it doesn't bother me that much. My buddy Ivan, and a lot of y'all know Ivan with Kit Badger, he was actually at the event, and he was texting me from the event, and he couldn't say the name because it was under embargo, but he's like, hey man, I was kind of skeptical. It's actually kind of cool. And then he went out and won one at the event, and he actually did put some sort of time. I don't know, they had a little timer and let the boys play a game, but he got one. And so he really likes it. I haven't actually seen one in person, but you know, guys, don't tread on me.
So let me kind of describe this for the viewers. So it's a SIG M400 AR-15 with a couple different handguards available for it. That's it. That's what is supposedly.
It's got the yellow thing on the other side, though. It's got that big giant yellow snake on it. Come on. So
the various handguards are you can have one with, like Matt described, Picatinny or a M-lock slots down the side, but not in the rear. You know, the rear 3 to 4 inches is solid for no reason, and the front is wide open for no reason. Then you can have one that's wide open the whole way, and then you can get a slightly longer one that's wide open the whole way.
That's
a lot of this, yeah. I don't understand who this is for. Johnny, when you and I were talking about this, that's what I said. I said, I don't understand who this rifle is for. I get the fact that they're trying to offer options, right? I understand offering the customer more. That is a smart play. However, if you are not going to offer something significantly different, do something. Here's my tip to the gun industry. If they're listening, they might be. Go do what Daniel Defense did and throw it out of a helicopter. Shoot it with a shotgun. Prove that the thing is indestructible, because nobody cares about Mola Labe, don't tread on my freedoms. You can't tread on them. They're ticker gerbs. Like that's who this is supposedly for based on their marketing. And I get that there's a lot of people, a lot of threepers out there, but I don't think that this will take off like they think it will with the current push.
So my thoughts on it.
Lay it on me.
And maybe like Johnny said earlier, we're all marketing guys, so maybe that has tainted me on this. But like,
that's a great word, Kurt. I really like that word. I want you to throw in the word moist, and we'll just get it all out of the way.
You're the most tainted of all.
Thanks,
nice.
But, to me, this is like a marketing campaign that happens to involve a gun.
Yes, very good point.
I mean, really, like you go to the homepage. I mean, if everyone goes to Sig Sauer's website and just scrolls through that, it's either going to appeal to you or you're going to kind of feel like insulted by it based on like it's just.
I like the logo.
Yeah, but
I like the logo.
I think that this is a gun that's going to be purchased by people and put into their gun safes, and it'll never see the light of day unless their buddy is over and they show it to their buddy, and then they put it back into the gun safe.
Check it out.
It's a 50 rounds and back in the safe.
Yeah, right.
It's an M400. It's an M400 with a new package. I think I was bugging John the other day on the phone talking about it, and I said, "Ooh, I really like it. I want one." He goes, "No, you don't." I said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna put it on my list." He goes, "You will never buy one of those because it comes with this really cool case. I don't know if it's like limited edition, but the case is like a Pelican or something. I don't know, but it's all shiny. But it's an M400 with a different name. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing.
Not just a different name, like a bad name. Like that's the worst part about this gun is the name.
So
it's so pandery that it's kind of
think
insulting.
of the freedom.
Think of it. Think of all the freedoms that you could have. All of them. No compromises.
The new face of freedom.
So let's talk about the kind of details here. It's a 16-inch 5.56 AR-15, weighs in at 7 pounds, 1 1/8 twist for no apparent reason. MSRP is $951 because F950, right? So I think $950 is a really solid starting point, but I don't know that that's the winner. Like that falls into, to me, that falls into that middle category where nothing is selling right now. Nothing. You ask gun stores, it's bottom and top. Nothing in the middle is moving. So what they've also done is come out with a bunch of Tread branded accessories. There's a list here on the website. M-Lock handguard with lightning cuts to reduce weight. Talked about them. Available in 13 and 15-inch lengths. Okay. 3-chamber compensator. Okay. Ambi charging handle made of aircraft grade aluminum and a dual roll pin design. Ooh, watch out now. Romeo 5 optic featuring a 2 MOA dot and some other crap. Those Romeo optics are decent. Not going to crap on them. Flip-up sights, M-Lock this, M-Lock that. You can actually get an upgraded flat blade single-stage trigger. I think that's a good upgrade. I don't know what it'll cost, but I just... That's what that rifle makes me do. Just...
That rifle...
Go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. You go. I like your accent. You go.
I like the way you talk.
Well, this has nothing to do with the Tread, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I just wanted to jump in right in the middle of this and say what's up to everybody in the chat room and just let John know that there's a couple celebrities in there. We got Phil with 1776 or Bust, and then also a big hello to Jonathan of Tactical Toolbox fame. So a big hello to Jonathan, and we'll be seeing him this weekend. I'm sure in the next few minutes we'll talk about this weekend. But I want to say hey to those guys. Matt, you're up.
Forget what I was going to say now. Captivated by that accent.
That Southern charm got you.
Yeah. No, the thing to me is it's like you can customize your own AR for that price now. And without all the silly tread this, tread that, like, I mean, I don't know when the last time was.
Matt, let me point something out. They are going to say that you couldn't do it with ambi controls because the M400 has ambi controls. Go ahead. I knew you were. That's part of your thought process.
I mean, my PWS rifles over there, that's got ambi controls on it. You know, it's like that. There's so many companies out there that make, lowers cut for ambi controls and stuff like that. Now it's. I mean, you can think of a dozen of them off the top of your head. I I don't know. I'm just like, it's one of those like boutique things, and it's almost like Kurt said, somebody's gonna buy it and they're gonna put it in their safe, and like, you know, when they're having a barbecue and talking about who's more patriotic or more American or more freedom loving than the next guy. Yeah, you play. Well, I got a tread rifle. What do you got? Oh, you got a Bushmaster? Sucker. Like, you know, like that's. I mean, that's how I see it. Like, and again, maybe it's just because the marketing is so cliche.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's throw this one to the chat. If you're familiar with the SIG tread, let us know what you think. I'm curious to see what the audience has to say about that one. It's kind of hit or miss with us. You know, there's some good things, some less than good. Curious to see what the audience has to say about that. You know what? It's almost halftime, so I'm just going to make it halftime. I'm just going to do it. We're just doing this tonight. Our big sponsor this week is NeoMag. You guys might be familiar with them. It is a small clip that goes into your pocket and holds your magazine with a magnet. NeoMag, right? And I think the best thing about it is the fact that you can discreetly carry without having something also on your waistband. You can drop it down in your pocket. It holds it securely. And they've also got ones with the extended clips. You can get the extendo version, and that'll allow you to carry a magazine with a giant base plate if you want to carry a backup mag with, you know, 18, 19, 3,000 rounds, whatever it is. And if you use the code TGC 2018, you get 10% over at neomag.com, theneomag.com. Sorry, almost messed that one up. And of course, our TGC Patriots over at patreon.com/The Gun Collective. You can get in at the $1 or $5 levels. $5 will get you into the monthly gun giveaway. This month is a rifle that's actually right behind my head. It's a Henry chambered in 4570. It's got a color case hardened receiver, and we're giving that one away on the 8th. 4 days from now, I will be announcing the winner for that. Really, really excited. And I love you guys. The direct support is super, super appreciated. Now, it's time to keep going. Guys, how do you feel?
That giveaway gun makes me want a 4570 so bad, dude.
I'm good. I'm glad. I'm happy that I can, positively affect your life.
Yeah.
Have you shot a 4570 recently, Matt?
I have. Not recently, no. But I mean, I'm looking for stuff for my moose hunt next year, and I'm just like, that's what I want. I want to bring that to Canada with me. And
why don't you just roll around with World War I artillery cannon instead?
It may be overkill. I like the backstrap on the moose, so I kind of want to preserve some of that.
I think that's frowned upon in Canada.
Yeah, it's true too.
Right? They're very apologetic and sorry about your cannon, buddy.
Sorry, moose.
So. The next thing that we have to look at is an MSR-10 from Savage. Now, Savage has a decent reputation. The MSR, I'm underwhelmed with what that is. It's a side-charging AR-10. The MSR-10 is specifically. This one happens to have a PRS stock, and it's now coming chambered in 6mm Creedmoor. Everybody's familiar with the 6.5, but now they have the 6mm Creedmoor. Any thoughts on this, Johnny? What do you think about a 6mm Creedmoor?
I think it's black. I think it goes boom. That's pretty cool.
Kurt, any thoughts on this one?
Why would you want 0.5 less Creedmoor, right?
That's good. I like that. Matt.
Yeah, that would be Creed less.
Yeah, it would be Creed less.
Yes, it's no longer. Wow. Yeah. This is the value that we're providing to the gun community right now. This is game-changing descriptions. Matt, 6mm Creedmoor from a Savage. Thoughts?
I never saw a need for 6.5, let alone 6mm. I mean,
so you're just a 308 guy all day, every day?
Well, I mean, I just bought a new rifle and I had the option of like 6.5 or 6mm or anything. I went 300 Win Mag. I don't like these boutique cartridges. It's like,
do you really think
300 Win Mag mustache? Yes.
Yeah.
You can tell just by looking at him.
It's a belted Magnum mustache.
I mean,
that's weird and gross. So let me describe this rifle for our audience here. It's a compact AR-10, comes with a 10-round PMag, non-reciprocating side charging handle, fluted heavy barrel, 22.5 inches, 6 Creedmoor, 9.5 pounds, 1 7.5 right-hand twist, forged upper and lower, M-lock rail, PRS stock, Blackhawk grip, and a 2-stage trigger. So from my perspective, I've been shooting a lot more precision type stuff recently, and I think 6 Creedmoor is a great round. I think it's a lot of fun, but I don't know that I would jump all over this as a consumer and go, oh my God, I got to have it in 6mm instead of 6.5, because, you know, the issue you start running into is confusion, one, and ammo availability. You know, 6.5 is just starting to catch on, right? Johnny, any thoughts?
It's black and it goes boom.
I like it. All right, let's keep on rolling. That one doesn't really matter. The MSRP is going to get that. That's just going to get nobody to care. $2,284.
I do have a comment on MSRP.
Send it.
We were talking a few minutes ago about people always asking about price, and here's my opinion, and I don't think this gets addressed. We could do an entire show on this, is that most of the chatter, at least in the content creation, the YouTube in this world, from people that are professionals in the industry that do the talking, I would say next to zero of them actually pay for guns. And that's a challenge. And I know in the magazines, they don't pay for their guns either, but that's a little bit different because they're getting the demo models. But moreover, even some of the people that are driving the conversation about specific firearms when they come in, whether it's a handguns or long guns, a lot of the people that are driving the conversations on their channel, and I don't want to go too far into this, but a lot of them are actually getting paid to talk about that. So it's not just their opinion. It's an actual, 10-minute or 30-minute or 45-minute advertisement. So I think it's a challenge, at least as a consumer, because I was a consumer long before I was a content creator. I think it's a challenge to weed through all those opinions, and you're hearing from people, they're like, man, this gun is incredible. Yeah, pal, it's 3.5 months of salary. And yeah, of course it's great. Good for you, Chief. I'm going to sit here with my XD. So you mentioned MSRP. I think that is part of the conversation, and all of the conversations that are happening with people that get their guns primarily for free.
Yeah, that's not a bad point. Not a bad point. I think people start to lose touch with what that MSRP actually means. That's, I harp on that on TGC News. I'm always talking about price. I'm always trying to give some kind of context and compare it to what else is available, and if it's expensive for what it is, that sort of thing. And a lot of folks get very frustrated if I have an episode that is only expensive products. I can't, unfortunately, make the industry make cheaper stuff, but it is a very, very important sticking point. And speaking of more affordable things, Matt, this is one that's going to get you peaked up. There is a new AK grip, and there's a reason I'm talking about this. It is what I would call a copy of the old school US palm grip, now made by Tango Down. It's called the BG AK Battle Grip. And it's being made in the same place where the magazine that's all of the suing rage right now is coming from. Matt, you are an AK expert. Talk to me about US Palm, your thoughts on this, maybe some thoughts on that new magazine. It's quite a story.
Yeah. So, I mean, back in the day when I wanted my AK to be an AR, I put all the Tango Down and all the US Palm grips and doodads and everything else on it. And then I took everything off, sold it, and went back to just the classic look of AKs. But for some people, like the AK grip in itself, it's like the handle of a butter knife. It's really thin, and especially if you got big hands, it's not very comfortable, not very ergonomic. So yeah, putting grips and stuff like that on the guns does make them a little bit more enjoyable to shoot. When US Palm went belly up, all of a sudden these $30 grips started selling for $130, and there was like this complete black market on all US Palm stuff, whether it was the grips or the mags or anything like that. And seeing this pistol grip come out, I like it. I'd throw it on a couple of my guns. There's going to be a lot of angry people that have been sitting on piles of US Palm grips that have been paying their mortgage by selling them, because it does the same thing. Yeah, it may not say US Palm, but when it's $100 cheaper than what they're currently going for, and it's gonna making a lot of people angry. But it's, you know, it's good to see other companies kind of stepping up to the plate and filling that void, because I mean, there's really not much going on in the AK world as far as innovation. And
Sure.
US Palm was one of the big innovators, and
US Palm is now being sort of resurrected.
Yeah,
Kurt, have you been following this at all?
A little bit. I mean, I saw that they posted something like with a zombie hand coming out of the grave on social media, trying to hint that they were coming back, but I don't know the details of it.
Sure. So I'll fill in what I know. US Palm went out of business. I don't know exactly how long ago. I think it was
2017.
Yeah, it was 2017 or 2016, and they were recently acquired by Century Arms. And
that's right.
In the interim, US Palm had some issues with another company, and some things went down, and now we have a magazine that is the center, I believe, of a lawsuit from Century Arms to a company called X-Tech Tactical. We're going to be talking about it. I'll probably bring one of the owners of X-Tech on TGC, but it's a really interesting sticking point to see a new magazine and a new grip and all this sort of stuff kind of resurrecting a new brand, or a classic design, or a modified version of those old designs, and bringing them up to speed with what they should have been in the first place. Johnny, do you have any thoughts on all this stuff? I know you're not huge on AKs.
It's not at all that I'm against AKs. I just have never stumbled into them, and here's why. And this is probably a side conversation, is I'm an absolute orangutan. I'm huge. I'm like Kurt size. And the first time, the first time I ever got in one, and it was so good for me to hear Matt say that. I mean, that little grip, and I just got in here, and I didn't feel like an operator like I need to feel. And so I've just never gotten into them. It's been interesting to watch, and we touched on this last week. Interesting to watch this lawsuit. I hate seeing companies, you know, maybe having to spin their wheels and lose money in court. I hope it works out, and I hope things go well. But no, I've never gotten into them. Probably never will unless something changes.
Yeah, I think you share the same opinion as a lot of folks. You know, the U.S. Market is obviously heavy into AR-15s and the like, and I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon. But I think we've got to keep it moving. We've got so much to talk about. You know what? Why don't we give a shout out to the live stream? And if you guys have any questions that you want us to answer here on the show, throw them up in the live chat. We will try our best to get to them. There's a lot of folks out there watching right now, and I appreciate all of you beautiful bastards out there watching. Let's keep it rolling with something that is really, really expensive. The new Zev small frame 6.5 Creedmoor with a 20-inch barrel. This is brand new. Zev recently acquired a company called Mega, and this is the resulting rifles. Kurt, did you ever get into Mega? Are you familiar with what they did?
I had a buddy who had one of their 308 rifles, and it seemed to shoot well. I didn't, you know, really get into the details of them.
Sure. Do you have any stance on a $3,500 6.5 Creedmoor?
I mean, it's funny because I think that this rifle is probably going to live the same life that the tread rifles are, which is it's going to live in somebody's safe. The difference is the amount of money spent on the rifle.
Sure.
That's my opinion. I mean, hopefully it is worth that in its performance. But yeah, that's a lot of money, and I wonder if people that are willing to spend that much money aren't just the type of people who are going to have something more custom built that is actually going to have the performance they're looking for. Not that this wouldn't.
Sure. Matt, you've been in the gun industry for quite some time. I know you're familiar with Mega and their old school billet receivers. That's kind of how they got their start. Do you have any thoughts on the fact that Zev is now trying to turn that up a notch and employ the classic Zev, we are expensive because we're expensive approach? What do you think, man?
So when I heard that Mega sold, I kind of got a little sad, because I had a Mega Mod 10 and a Mega, it was GTR, complete guns, and I'd sold them maybe a year prior. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to replace those because Mega made some of like the cleanest billet guns around. I mean, their parts were just awesome. I did go ahead and buy one of the new Zev receiver sets because I'm like, okay, it's kind of just, the same thing.
Oh, so you have one of their newer sets?
I do. It's somewhere.
How is it? Is it nice?
It's gorgeous. I was super impressed when I saw it, and that's the thing is I'm like, oh man, I can't get a Mega anymore. And I looked, I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty damn sexy. The issue is, from what I was told, is the early sets, which is what I have. I was told the tolerances are like really, really super stupid tight. And I was gonna have it Cerakoted, and I guess now I can't even do that because guys were saying they Cerakoted their stuff and it's like not bound up, but you need a hammer to drive the pins out to get the gun apart. Mine's still sitting in the box, so if anybody wants a first edition Zev, let me know.
So let me describe what this rifle is for the audience. It's a Zev billet, upper and lower, anodized, blah blah blah, M-lock handguard. That is kind of all part of the same upper receiver. Yeah, nobody cares about that. Zev slide lock charging handle, ambi controls, yada yada. Exclusive sniper gray flat face AR gold trigger from American Trigger, 2.5 pound pull, short reset, blah blah blah. 20-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, 416R stainless. They say sub MOA match grade heavy barrel. It's a Noveske barrel that's made for Zev. By Noveske. It says they have a custom tuned gas and buffer system for smooth cycling, consistent ejection, and low recoil. Okay. Surefire muzzle brake. Those are just obnoxious in every sense of the word. Ambi controls, Magpul furniture. See, this is one of the things that starts to disappoint me is I can go buy that Magpul furniture right off the shelf, and that doesn't add any value. I want every little bit to add value. When we're talking almost $3,600, MSRP on their website is $3,578.
Well, I mean, on that tip, John, it sounds like the only thing that's actually Zev is the receiver set, and everything else.
I mean, let's be fair. That's common. That is very common. Everybody's using each other's parts. It's really, really expensive. I think it's probably, like, let's be fair. It's probably a very good rifle. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I've shot one, but I would assume that this is a very good rifle. I think you could get that same performance for a little bit less money. But if you really want a Zev, you really want that small frame 308 or a AR-10 receiver set, that'd be cool. That'd be very cool. Let's keep it rolling. I don't want to harp on very, very expensive stuff for too long. Vermont. Matt, you live up in New Hampshire. You're familiar with Vermont. You're familiar with the Great White North, and we actually have a former Vermont resident with us. They employed a bump stock ban, but there was an amnesty period. Okay, so during that period, people were able to turn their bump stocks in, and no harm, no foul. You could do whatever you want. And a whopping 2 were handed in during that period. The ban, ineffective at that point. Johnny, what do you think about Vermont and their stupid attempt at banning these?
I don't know. I know we've made that joke before, the Allen Iversons. We talking about practice. We have spent so much freaking time talking about bump stocks. Can I just be honest? Kurt, can I be honest for 2 seconds?
Of course.
I didn't know what a bump stock was until this whole thing happened. Like, until Las Vegas, like, I had seen them on TV and I'd seen some, on YouTube and seen some guys playing with them, but I've still never seen one in person. Probably never will. We talking about bump stocks. And also, I just love when the government tries to get us to turn stuff in and nobody does. I'm not a big threeper or don't tread on me, but that's enough. When people won't go turn their stuff in, that's enough for me to go buy the tread tomorrow and get me a low line tattoo, baby. I'm saying I'm either with my shield or on it.
I'm going to get a 3% tattoo right in the middle of my forehead, right next to a dick butt tattoo. Matt, you're familiar with the Great White North. You've been up there for quite some time, former Massachusetts resident. You know all about bans and this and that, all that government nonsense. Wasn't there something similar that happened with AR mags or AR-15s up there? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it passed. They proposed a high capacity magazine ban. You know, basically you can possess the rifles, but you can't possess new magazines that hold more than 30 rounds for like an AR-15 or something like that, or an AK. And in the process of that, Magpul does something unprecedented and like airdrops piles of PMags. I think actually, and it was Rob Curtis from
Recoil.
Yeah, Rob lives up in Vermont. From Recoils out there at the State House, handing them out as this vote's going on. You know, I mean, that was just awesome. And like I said, I think unfortunately the vote passed. I'm not 1,000% sure. I didn't follow it too closely because
yes, it did pass.
Yeah, you know, because Vermont is going the way of Massachusetts, and if it was closer to the ocean, it should just sink into it. But yeah, I mean, again, they did that same thing in Massachusetts where, hey, you know, bump stocks are illegal. Everybody turn them in. It's like, oh yeah, okay, well, my bump stock was too close to the fire and it melted because all it is a piece of plastic. You know, so it's like it's the same thing with the gun buyback programs. People aren't actually going to turn stuff in, and the people that are turning stuff in, 90% of the time it's like, oh yeah, my great grandfather died and I don't really like guns, so here's his World War II 1911 that means nothing to me, let me turn, you know, instead of the gangbangers with the illegal guns.
They turn them in sideways, don't they? He go officer.
Here's my problem solver.
Right. So
quick shout out. Hold on a second. John Lovell is here. Everybody's
Hey,
favorite
John.
tactical haircut. Oh my God, John Lovell's here. I'm so excited. And he did a super chat. Thanks, John. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's hilarious that all of these things are met with crickets. Yep. You know, that's one of the most
shout out to John. Shout out to John is met with crickets. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying the magazine.
Oh, because you said he's met with crickets.
You say anything bad about John?
No. I didn't. I did not.
I'm saying
why are you insinuating such things?
Because it's funny, John.
No, that's
JB is very defensive of his man. So
I know. I'm freaking out. I can't believe he's even in here. I can't believe it.
JB will lose his mind.
I want to see his beard. It's John Lovell.
Oh,
he's not just a poet. He's a warrior poet.
Oh, you better keep it under control this weekend, Johnny. Keep it under control. So Vermont tried to have a bump stock turn in. Nothing came in. Not shocking. I think this is one of those come and take it type moments. And I love that. I love the fact that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, let's talk about, we've got a few minutes left. I know we've got some stories to cover, and I want to get to them, but let's talk real quick about what's going on this weekend. 3 of us will be there. Matt will be at his day job, unfortunately, with his belted Magnum mustache. What's going on this weekend, Kurt?
So this weekend is one of the best weekends of the year. It's the Iraq Veteran 8888 range day. So all the YouTubers and social media people and a lot of awesome companies like Blue Alpha Gear will all be there hanging out, having fun, shooting guns, and hopefully creating some cool content to put up on YouTube.
On the interwebs.
Yep.
So I know one of the biggest questions that comes up when we talk about that event is it open to the public? And at this point, it is not. I'm going to disappoint a whole bunch of people. Unfortunately, it is not. There's been talk every year about, you know, doing a day with the public and a non-media thing. But I think the issue is insurance and crowd control and all. Like, when you open the floodgates to an audience of over 12 million people, there's millions and millions of subscribers and followers and all that. And you open that floodgate, say, hey, we are all going to be in one location. What you're doing is creating a small army in a very, very small town in Georgia. And I don't know that town could absorb that many people. Johnny, what are your thoughts, man? You've last year was your first year, right?
Yeah, last year was my first year, and I think even for people that are not in the industry that are just going to be watching, man, everybody's Instagrams and YouTube are just going to be full of stuff coming up over the next several days, and everybody just gets into a field, and there's just an explosion. I was not physically, emotionally, or spiritually prepared for that explosion that happened at the beginning. I mean, I'm telling you, when IV 88, 88, 88, 88, Arex said go, I mean, it was kapow. It was like America, red, white, and blue, baby. I'm telling you, ISIS went the other direction. So it's a lot of fun. Like, you get to try a lot of guns, but you get a lot to see a lot of friends and hang out with people. There's going to be a lot of good guys there. So even, you know, even for guys that are not going to be coming, man, it's a lot of fun. A guy from one of the holster companies that's going to be there, he hollered at me today on the phone and he said, hey, my son has been watching last year's, and he's just so excited about what's coming up because he was really having fun just watching the guns being shot and getting to meet people. I mean, I got to meet Kurt, and Kurt brought me a belt last year, and it was really, really cool. Very, very cool. All right, speaking of Kurt, what are you bringing to the show? I know this is not a commercial. We didn't really plan this, but what's Blue Alpha Gear got in store for the show this weekend?
So we're doing what we typically do, which is make poor decisions. And we're going to bring a sewing machine, set it on the dirt, and make belts on site under a tent outdoors. So
because nothing says freedom like a white man in a Georgia heat with a sewing machine out in the field.
Yeah,
in 90-degree heat
with dust and explosions and machine gun fire everywhere. Like,
that is the weirdest sweatshop on earth.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe wait a second. Is that like an Iraqi sweatshop? Like what?
It's the most American of sweatshops.
The freest sweatshop.
Is there going to be a tread there? I don't know if that's the freest. You gotta make sure there's one of those there.
Yeah.
I think this weekend's gonna be a lot of fun. I've been going since the beginning. I was there for the first one. In a way smaller field, and some really interesting stuff happened. I got to meet a lot of cool people, and I'm excited. You know, social media, be on the lookout. Lots and lots of shenanigans. You know, I'll point out that this is the only time during the year that a lot of us get to hang out and just relax. So we all go to SHOT Show. Everybody goes to SHOT Show. However, everybody's working. Whereas at this, it's a lot more relaxed, and we can all just have conversations and you know, share our friendships. Because normally it's 1,500 miles apart and we're talking on the phone. That's it. Or we're making fun of each other in videos or some nonsense like that. But anyway, let's keep it rolling. We've got a couple more things. We might go a little bit long tonight. I want to get some audience questions while they're fresh. Klaus Jackowitz sent over a super chat, which that looks like it might be South African currency, DKK. I'm not sure.
G'day, mate.
I don't know if that's, I don't know, the European. I don't know. Anyway, one question: dark milk or white chocolate? This has been an ongoing thing here on the TGC podcast. My vote of the three is, you know what? We'll put them in order: milk, white, dark. Johnny, go. All three.
I'm taking Nestle chocolate.
Kurt.
Milk, dark, white.
Ooh, bad choices. Matt.
Dark milk, white.
Who are you? We can't be friends anymore. Michael Getch also has a super chat here. I demand John Level market a tactical haircut battle helmet. So reminiscent of the old Energizer guys, maybe, with that like kind of weird plasticky hair. Or some of you that may remember a Primus video for Winona's Big Brown Beaver. Check that one out. I'm old. We have a couple other comments here. Alexander Holiday, Punisher grips, yay or nay? I have some Punisher grips. That's the same guy that made me these Picatinny taco holders. Yep, that's really going to happen. That's going to be a thing. And Joe Morse says, 180-second ideas. Would you ever consider coming back to YouTube? Johnny.
I am literally on YouTube as we speak.
Can't have said it any better myself. Crimson Trace is launching a new line of red dots for pistols and long guns. Crimson Trace, a company that we all know as a laser company, was bought by Smith & Wesson last year, I believe it was. Significant amount of money. They are coming out with a few new models, very, very similar to other models likely made in the same Chinese factory as other models on the market. Matt, thoughts on these, buddy?
If it's not an aim point or a Trijicon MRO, I don't want it.
Okay, Matt is hoity-toity and likes the fancy stuff that lasts forever. Can't blame him. Kurt, any thoughts on Crimson Trace making these?
I mean, I wouldn't buy one, but
You wouldn't? You would not buy one. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
I don't think that they're going to be very good. They might be okay, and there'll be
Well,
lots
why
of
do you
people.
think that?
It's just like you just said. It's just like a lot of the other Chinese imported. I mean, a lot of them are made in the same factory. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are, well, I'd say more than the ones that, I mean, a lot of them aren't good. A lot of them are not going to be good. Let's be honest. And there's going to be a million people saying, I have one. I put 78 rounds through mine or on my gun, no problems. Still works great. The battery has lasted for 4 months. Like, I have no complaints. And I would just say that, like, if they're like for real hard abuse, they're probably not going to be the right choice.
Sure. So MSRP, I did some digging while we were chit-chatting there, and it looks like MSRP is going to start around $200.
Wow.
For these.
So that's higher than I would have guessed.
Sure. Johnny, you know all about budget stuff. You've done some content on budget stuff. What do you think of these? Are these budget?
At $200? Heck no, those aren't budget. I know there's gonna be people in the chat room going, well, that's very affordable. No, there's guys that live in the real world. Actually, I live in the real world. Now, I have got some super, super nice optics, the stuff that, I felt, I'm not positive, but I felt like Kurt was being just slightly sarcastic there. And I do have some stuff that actually you could take, I guess, out to Peru or wherever the special forces are these days and go to battle with. I mean, some good stuff. But I'm telling you, budget starts at $39 right off the Chinese boat. I'm not saying that these red dots are expensive, but that's kind of for me in the middle. And I think most viewers would look at $200. I mean, a lot of guys, they're wanting to spend $39. Do I want to spend $39? Heck no. My real comment is this. We talking about red dots.
We are in fact talking about red dots. Matt has labeled these sorts of things as peasant optics. That is really, really funny. Thank you so much. Somebody else in the chat mentioned the fact that people laughed at Holosun when they first came out. I was extremely skeptical.
Yeah,
I tried them.
So when that Holosun was the brand that came to mind, that is of the Chinese brands, like that's the one that I've heard pretty good stuff about. So in fact, like I would say I'd probably choose, I don't know, I might be wrong on this, but I feel like Holosun is probably making better stuff than the SIG optics, which I haven't seen that good.
I wouldn't know how to compare the two.
Yeah.
The other brand that pops up when you talk budget, kind of this new tier of like $200 optics is Primary Arms. Heard a lot of good things about those as well.
I think those are Primary Arms and Holosun. Again, I could be completely wrong on this, but I think that those are kind of the same factory. And
wildly speculating.
I think that those share a lot of stuff. The difference was the Holosun optics have like the solar panel on top.
And they're coming out with a new model called the Holo Stun Gun. Gonna round out our show here. We've got two more things here to talk about. We're gonna gloss over this one fairly quick. It's a new one. A new XDM 4.5-inch OSP from Springfield Armory. So I will describe this the best I can. They took a 4.5-inch XDM, cut out a slot for a red dot on the top, and added a threaded barrel with suppressor height sights. Any thoughts on this $958 MSRP gun? Matt, I know you love XDs so much, buddy. What are your thoughts?
It's meh. I mean, it's
why is it meh? Talk to me.
Because you can probably buy the gun with a threaded barrel and get the cut in it cheaper than buying the whole gun.
Could you? I don't know that. Usually that's not the case. Usually, I don't know. I don't know what the XDM goes for. I'm gonna do some digging on the XDM.
They're like
right now and see.
$450, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's
they're not expensive.
MSRP $624.
Yeah, so subtract 30%.
So sure, I understand. However, comparing MSRP to MSRP, there's about a $300 difference, maybe a little bit more than a $300 difference. but I don't think you can get a threaded barrel and a slide cut and sights for $300.
Well, I've got a Sawzall in my garage.
What are you gonna Sawzall on an
You've
XD?
never seen my Sawzall skills for the
Clearly I haven't.
the cuts on the for the red dot.
Johnny, thoughts on this one, man?
The problem with buying a Springfield is you end up buying a Springfield.
Oh, I couldn't have said it better myself. Kurt?
I kind of agree with Johnny. It's not something I would buy. And I'm kind of annoyed that it's taking these big companies so long to finally get on board with the whole red dot game and start making like factory options. But it's good to see that they're starting to have some factory options for red dot mounting. But I wouldn't buy one.
Well, their marketing team is an absolute, and their PR team is a well-oiled machine.
Well, yeah.
I personally I like XDs. I like XDMs. I don't care what everybody says. I enjoy my XD9 V10 ported gun. That's one of my favorite guns to shoot. However, I understand why some people do not like them. Some people think they have an extremely high failure rate in classes. Simply ask Aaron Cowan of Sage Dynamics.
Yeah,
he has seen a lot of them fail.
Yeah, he's not a fan.
Not a fan. So, Johnny, if you were out there looking for a gun that came ready to have a red dot optic and a threaded barrel and all that kind of stuff for shooting suppressed and super duper tactical, what would you end up with right now? You said you probably wouldn't jump into this. What would you jump into?
I wouldn't. And for me, and I said it earlier, I really, for me, I divide between what is a tool and what I use for personal protection, home protection, all that giggity stuff, and then what things that actually float my boat. I mean, look at Matt's wall. I mean, holy smokes, I've never owned an AK, but it's like freaking me out. They're all like shiny and like all that wood. I'm in because I have feelings about guns. So for me, if you were to say what would I get if I was going to have to use it as a tool, I would probably call somebody who knows what they're talking about, and I would probably end up going the Glock route. I don't know.
Well, the new 17 and 19 MOS.
They got the new MOS, but for me, the one I'm currently looking at, and I'm probably going to pull the trigger on it here in the next couple of weeks, is that new CZ, or it's not new, the CZ SP01 Tactical Suppressor Ready. But again, that's hammer fired, single action, double action, all that.
I have one of those.
But and they're cool, aren't they? Aren't they, Kurt?
Yeah, they're cool. I don't, it's kind of a toy gun for me. Like I don't really.
It would be a toy gun. Yeah. And when I'm about to name drop, but I was down in Atlanta kissing the ring of Eric and Chad back in March, and I was at their house and we did a little filming in the studio, and you know I gave my 10% at the altar, and they pulled up the SP01 Tacticals with a giant suppressor and the suppressor sights, and we stood out behind the door and they went to town. That Chad, he can shoot. Holy cow. Eric can shoot too, but how cool was that? So for me, is it a tool or is it a fun gun?
Yeah. I think if I was going to jump in on a gun like this, if I was out there going, I want an optic ready gun with a threaded barrel and sights, I would probably throw my money at a Canic right now. Like affordable. Like I think there are maybe $500-600 in that market for this sort of arrangement, and I've shot one, and I think they're fantastic. So we've got one more story here. We're going to make this one pretty quick. A guy that a lot of us know, named Rob Pincus, is appointed to the board of directors of the Second Amendment organization. Matt, you know Rob. You've known Rob for a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about who he is, kind of for the people that may not know him?
Yeah, so the Pincus is he's the creative mind and the founder behind ICE Training, Personal Defense Network, the Combat Focused Shooting Program, and Rob he's got his hands in everything in the firearms industry.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to call him, even though he is a grandfather now, technically. I don't think he's a grandfather in the firearms industry, but he's definitely one of the fathers of, you know, kind of what's going on with the industry right now as far as defensive shooting goes and innovation and stuff like that. I mean, he's had his hands in so many things, and, you know, partially responsible for so many different things in the firearms industry and collaborated with so many people. I mean, Rob is he's probably one of the I don't even know, like foremost spokesperson in the firearms industry. You know, he's
so Rob. I think it's safe to say that Rob has been around for a long time. He's been heavily involved in all aspects of the gun community, the gun industry, etc. And now he's on the board of 2AO, and that is a grassroots Second Amendment advocacy and education group. I believe they're out of San Antonio, Texas. It's another, NRA type group. I would not put them in the same bucket as the NRA. I don't know of what 2AO and what they do. I don't know a ton about them, but I think having a figurehead like this speaks volumes, and I think it's very important for other groups to pay attention. The NRA board for a long time, and Adam actually recommended this become an honorary board, but the NRA board has some really high profile people on it for a long time. And the idea with bringing celebrities and whatnot into that board was to bring attention to what that organization was doing. And I think I would love to see this. And the reason I put this in here is because I would love to see this propagate out. And I would love to see groups like Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America really put these higher profile people at the helm and put them on the board, put them in the executive committee or whatever it is in these groups and see if it can really make a difference. Because I think if you truly want to influence the gun community, you have to have an influencer involved. Johnny, your thoughts on somebody getting into these other groups and how this affects you?
I think how it affects me is a different story than my thoughts on it. I mean, how it affects me is pretty minimal, I think, but at least how I feel. I know that a lot of these groups are doing things behind the scenes that a lot of us will never know about. And if there's one thing that I have learned from following Adam over the last couple years is there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Now, as far as bringing in what Matt mentioned as an elder statesman, I think that's really, really cool. Bringing in guys that we all respect and we all love who have absolutely earned their place. Now, as far as bringing in the celebrities, that's a different story. You know this, I've done a metric buttload of communication research, and what these folks do is it's really easy. It's a metric that folks do on how broadly somebody's known. They don't bring Tom Selleck in because just to get the word out. They bring it in because he's a cash cow, and you have to be well known. Rob Pincus is not a household name. He is to us four guys, but you have to have celebrities and that pal to get people to come to these dinners. Trump was here in Johnson City on Friday night, and oh my Lord, I mean, they were just slammed. The interstate was just slammed. Why? Because he's the big name. But if you were to bring Rob Pincus to Johnson City, who's going to be at the event? Well, the owners of the gun stores and a few of us, the hardcore. But if you were to bring Tom Selleck here and try to do a fundraiser, now I know the chat room's going to go nuts saying, oh, it's not just about raising funds. Well, yeah, it is in a lot of ways about raising funds, because we can't do anything now. Has the NRA derailed in a lot of ways? Yep, absolutely. So as far as bringing in these names, I love it. God bless Rob Pincus. Nothing but respect for him. I think bringing in more elder statesmen is fantastic, but also we're going to need the heavy hitters of people that are well known.
Kurt, what do you think about this move with 2AO and things of that nature? How do you feel about all this sort of thing?
So I don't know much about that organization specifically, but I would say
I'm speaking more generally.
No, yeah.
I don't think a lot of us know too much about that.
But comparing it to what I do know a little better, which is the NRA and the NRA board of directors, I would say whatever they're doing, maybe people should consider doing something a little differently, because a lot of people are less than impressed with the effect that the board of directors currently has on the organization. Now, we all know the board of directors is not necessarily the one making like a lot of the big calls that a lot of people don't like that are coming from the NRA. But the board of directors is responsible for holding the people at the top accountable. And that's why, a lot of us want people like Adam Kraut to get more involved. And I honestly, I would trade an Adam Kraut for a celebrity any day of the week. Even though a celebrity may be able to raise more money, I want someone who's going to be able to actually kick some ass in there and make some changes and represent me and you and the rest of us. And so I think, I don't know. This is just a chance for me to complain about the NRA a little bit, I guess.
Matt, do you have any thoughts on bringing in higher profile people to these groups? You know, is it a super positive thing? Maybe you can give us some examples of who you might like to see involved with, you know, Firearms Policy Coalition, Second Amendment Foundation, NRA even.
I mean, you know, the issue is when you have higher profile people, is they're under the microscope for a bunch of different stuff. So all it takes is one little thing or to have that person just kind of shift support and be like, oh yeah, today the NRA is great, but tomorrow they're not so great because 95% of my fan base says so, you know, and that's unfortunately the problem when you have higher profile people. And like Kurt said, I'd rather have somebody like Adam whose support and stance is unwavering versus somebody that can be influenced by the masses simply because of their popularity in whatever role they're in. You know, like there's to tell you the truth, instead of like Hollywood celebrities, I think there's a lot of sports players out there that I think I would rather see go for the NRA board or you know, do something of that nature. You know, I'm just stuff that comes to mind, like Curt Schilling from the Red Sox, a huge pro 2A guy, a huge hunter. Somebody like him who kind of has an FU attitude that, you know, this is my stance and that's it. You know, I
think, you know, in terms of that FU attitude and this is it, I think we're seeing less and less of that because people's paychecks, and I mentioned this, I had a Patreon live stream last night, and I mentioned the fact that somebody brought up Post Malone. And Post Malone is a Hollywood type celebrity, I would call him. He's a up and coming rapper of sorts, and he is a shooter. He's been seen on Instagram doing tactical training, etc. And I think the issue is with a lot of these guys is this image controls their paycheck, and I think a lot of folks are very unwilling to put their paycheck on the line when it comes to taking a stance politically in one direction or another. More often than not, if they are coming out as quote unquote conservative, coming out of that closet, then it's actually a bigger issue than anything else they could do with their careers.
Well, and that's considered the new, that's a great word you use. That is the new closet. One of the Hollywood A-listers said the other day that being a conservative, now we're talking about guns, but in general, being conservative is the new closet. Because in the 50s, 60s, I mean, Marlon Brando in the 60s had to totally hide his proclivities. And because if you were to expose that, your paychecks would dry up. And now, man, you can't, if you're trying to have a large career that goes to the masses, I mean, imagine how many contracts Post Malone has right now with different companies. Mm-hmm. That's risky, baby. That is risky.
That's very risky. I think we've got to wrap it up. I've got a couple more questions. Cody Mays, super chat. I crushed white chocolate for the legal brief. We've been doing this crush of the week thing. The audience is sending in their videos. He crushed some white chocolate. That's probably going to be our video next week. Redneck Sniper, any update on 9x39 Wolf? I don't know of any updates. I've seen it trickling in here and there. Haven't really seen it come in large scale. Izzy has a question. Is the podcast going to be moving to the new channel? If you have not seen the new channel, go look up TGC Surplus. That is, we're likely, I want to get Adam on this channel for one last episode before we fully kick over to the new channel. We got over 1,500 subscribers on there now. Go subscribe. It's awesome. Other than that, I think it's time to wrap up. Matt, do you have any thoughts before we go? Anything you want to say before we kick off to the audience?
I don't know.
All right, Kurt.
I was trying to think of something witty.
No, I mean, just like we talked about earlier, keep an eye out for fun stuff happening at the Iraq Veteran 88 Range Day this weekend. And looking forward to seeing all of you, but Matt there.
Matt was there a few years ago. It's sad to say that he won't be there this year. Johnny, any thoughts before we wrap up?
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Just for Men, 3 and 4 various ways for middle-aged pasty white guys to groom their facial hairs. Tonight we had 2 beards, one red and one a little bit darker, one orange goatee, and that is the Scotch Irish coming out of me, and then one Jersey Shore mustache.
Oh, thank you all for watching. I appreciate everybody out there that continues to support TGC. Keep an eye on social media. Shout out to everybody that stuck with us in the live chat. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon.